Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Progress Over Perfection. My name is Nicholas. Thank you so much for joining us onto another episode. And today, I want to be talking about one of my all-time favorite topics to talk about, and it's going to be on the subject of humility. So I want to be talking about um, my story about my relationship with learning how to be more humble, what I used to think about humility, what I believe being humble and having humility is right now for me. I'm going to share with you guys a quick story, and also, um, most importantly, I want to make sure that you guys have a takeaway from this today as well. And I will share with you something that I've learned from a book, which I will share in a while more on how did I learn how to become more humble. Okay, so uh, with that being said, I want to start off the episode with one of my favorite quotes on humility, and that is humility is not thinking less of yourself, is thinking of yourself less by C.S. Lewis. And I remember I saw this quote many years ago. It was I think it was back in 2019 or 2020 or something like that. That was the time where I was really starting to learn what is it to have more humility, and what is it to be a more humble person, growing into that sort of person. And every single time when I think about humility, I feel like it always comes back to this one single quote, and it is put in a way that it is so beautiful. You know, just that one sentence itself. Humility is not thinking less of yourself; it's thinking of yourself less. That one sentence, it's it's so simple, but yet also I feel like it's very insightful for anyone who wants to learn how to become more humble, right? Okay. Um, what I used to think being humble is, we've always heard this phrase. I've always heard this phrase. You gotta stay humble. You gotta be humble. You know, and what I used to think they meant this was you have to put yourself down. That's why I truly believe what I thought being humble meant. Being humble meant putting yourself down, Um, it felt like you had low self-esteem, it felt like you have low opinions of yourself, a lack of confidence. I think a very good example to illustrate this is, when people say, "Oh, you did a very good job," and somehow rather you just reply to them, "Oh, no lah, no lah. It's a very small thing, no lah, no lah." You know, that's what I used to think humility was. And soon over time, I started to realize that after learning, that's not what humility is at all. So I formed this new belief on humility that I want to share with you guys, which is my new belief, that is that humility is acknowledging that even though we are doing well, we don't have to brag about it, we don't have to gloat about it, uh, and inflate our ego to show that like we are the best. We are the people with all the answers. We are uh, the ones at the top of the mountain. That if you ask us anything, we are the top guy, we are the top G up there. you know. So we don't have to do that. You know, it's just about acknowledging that hey, you're doing well, but also knowing that there is still a lot more that you can learn, right? My first lesson on being humble, and this was back when it was in 2019. Okay, when I was still in in a club called MMU Water Sports, right? In my university, it was a dragon boating club slash kayaking club slash indoor rowing club. It's just basically water sports club, and I was 19 years old during that time, and that was the first time where I wanted to take myself more seriously and just try to venture into doing hard things, right? Because I felt like there was a need for me um, to show that I was a guy, I was a man, you know? So me having that toxic masculinity type of mindset is that as a guy, I need to do hard things. And the toughest club around, with the toughest people, was these people in MMU water sports. And during my time in the club, I met this one person, and I would still consider him to be one of my very first mentors. And his name was Q. Okay, I'm not too sure where is he now. We still keep in contact from time to time. But if you're watching this, Q, thank you so much for teaching me so many things over the years, and you teaching me how to be humble and always remember that we should always be humble is something that really changed my perspective on life a lot lah. So if you're listening to this, thank you so much. Okay, and continuing on, I always remembered him telling us that we have to be humble, that we gotta stay humble. And Q had a reputation in that club. Q was the guy who was really badass. He was like one of the toughest people there. He was willing to do like really tough shit. He was a super tough guy. He lifted heavy weights, training like super hardcore. He's willing to go the extra mile for training. And I remember during the time everybody was scared of Q, but I look at Q with so much respect and admiration that I just wanted to learn from him. Right? And during our time in the club, we joined various what's it called? Dragon Boat Dragon Boat competition. So I traveled to Penang, I have traveled to like Johor, you know, and we did all these Dragon Boat competitions. And during that time, I was part of this crew called the junior team, So the junior team members, we are all new to the game, first time in competitions, and I would say that we were doing pretty well during that time. So every single time that we came back for the race, we would at least walk away with some form of placing and medal here and there. So naturally our egos were inflated. And we thought we were really good. We just started. We could beat all these people, and being the young man energy, our egos were inflated to believe that we were really that good, right? And one of the things that Q always told us is that always remember, you got to be humble. you know just because you're doing well today doesn't mean you're going to do well tomorrow, right? Just because you won this competition today doesn't mean you're going to be winning the next one. And I believe the reason he told us this, it is because when we start to believe that we are at the top, you know, we we limit ourselves to how much we can grow after that. It's not just about being able to row the boat as fast as you can. It's not just about physical, but it's also about mental as well, right? And so with this lesson, every single time when I think about humility as well, I always hear it at the back of my head. Q is always saying, stay humble, be humble, yeah, just be humble. And I felt that it really impacted me a lot as well. So uh throughout the years, this has been one of my favorite pieces of conversation to have with people, because with my old belief of what I think humility was, which is putting myself down, I was also very interested to know about what were other people's perspective on humility was. So, at the same point of time, also it relates to three other different things, which is like humility, confidence, and also ego, right? Because if you believe humility is putting yourself down, then what does it actually mean to be confident, right? And you start searching online where people say humility is not about putting yourself down, then you start to um, question, oh, what exactly is confidence then? So when you're asking about what is confidence, some of the things that you read up also feels like this person has a very big ego, right? So ego and confidence is a very fine line. And to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out from time to time. Um, but I do feel that every single time when you feel like, are you being very egoistic or are you being confident? I think what bridges the gap between those both is um, coming back to the foundation of humility and always remembering that it's not always about you, right? You can share your wisdom, but you don't have to gloat that you know everything. You don't need to brag that you have all the answers, right? And throughout the years of learning more about humility, one of the books that I felt was very impactful to me was a book called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. I bought this book a few years back, and if I'm being honest, I honestly don't remember much about this book or anything in the contents, except for one very important um, framework that Ryan Holiday gives in this book. And it's the framework of plus, equals, and minus, right? So what is plus, equals, and minus? Plus, equals, and minus is all the situations that we will face every single season of our life, right? Okay, so I'll share with you all plus. Okay, what does plus means? All right, plus means when you are at the top of the mountain, where you just won that competition, where you think that you are the best person in this role, where you think that you are the top G, the smartest person in the class. That's a plus. That's when you're always at the top. When you're at the top, you know, the first thing that you got to remember is that you always have more to learn, right? Don't just believe that once you get to the top, you're gonna stay at the top. That's not how it works, right? At any single point of time, someone new can just come along, right? So you always got to remember, once you're at the top, you still have more to learn. And there were two quotes that I remember every time where I felt that I was at the top. And the first one is, everything you go through is preparing you for something bigger. And that one is another quote from Q. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, brother. And another one is, there is no one champion forever. And this was from Kenneth, my friend from Jiu Jitsu. And it's true, you see all these people in UFC, one championship. They may be the champion for this year, but maybe next year roll about, they're no longer the champion forever. So we got to be humble, especially when at the top, because we always have to acknowledge that we have still a lot more to learn. So that's plus. Second, equals. What is equals? Okay, equals is when you think that you are on par with someone else. So I know you guys out there, this is a very common thing in sports. Maybe it's in the classroom where you see that you have someone that has the same mark as you, same results as you. This guy in the gym who has like the same physique as you, same performance as you, and you start to feel like some form of jealousy, or maybe that form of ego, that you want to be better than this person, right? When you have someone who is equal with you, you know, it's also a good thing because it allows you to challenge yourself. Okay, stop thinking about challenging other people and start thinking about challenging yourself. Level up with these people, right? What There were so many people that I feel that was very beneficial. You know, um, in this, it could be your groupmate. I remember I had um a lot of really talented groupmates, and they were all so much smarter than me, and I just wanted to be like them. And every single time where I felt like I was not performing as well, I would always tell myself, hey man, you know These people are in the same group as you. They trusted you enough to be in the same group, to put you in this group with them. You have to do your part and challenge yourself to become better or at least on par with them. And Snoop Dogg, right? It's a it came from him. I saw a YouTube video a while back, of Snoop Dogg, but he explained this so well, and it's called closing the gap, right? So all of us start this way. We are here, our friends are here, you know. So as we start going up, we start improving, improving, improving. Okay, it's always important to be surrounded by people who wants to challenge themselves as well. So your friends, if they challenge themselves as well, they will go up as well. And both of you will always be challenging each other to become the best version of what you guys can become, right? But if you mix around with people that doesn't want to grow, if you keep growing and they don't want to grow, you gotta leave them behind, because the only way to grow is to find new people at the top and challenge yourself to be more like them as well. If you don't do that, what happens? You're over here, your friends are over here, and if they don't want to improve, you know, are you going to drop yourself back down to their level? You can always be friends with people, but if there's something that you want to accomplish, you might want to reconsider dropping yourself down back to their level and not improving each other at all, right? So challenge yourself, challenge your friends, level up with each other, start to close the gap, right? So that is equals when you find someone who is equal with you. Okay. And the last part is minus. When you think someone is worse than you, when you think someone is shitty and sucky and not at your level, this is the perfect opportunity for you because it's now your turn to learn how to be a teacher to other people. You are where you are today. I always believe not through our own individual efforts, but it is because of a lot of people that came along the way to help us to be where we are today. Whether it may be um, the support around us, it could be a teacher, it could be a mentor, or it can also come from video, it can come from books. You will not have all the knowledge to be at the top if you didn't get it from somewhere, right? So whenever you see somebody who is starting out, who is not as good as you, this is your opportunity to give back for all the people that has given to you. And I believe a lot in the idea of leaders create leaders. And there are two people that I want to mention right now, and that is Eric and Amanda. Okay, um, Eric and Amanda are um, two of the MCs in my university. And before I left my university, I wanted to make sure that I build up two people, so that they can carry on teaching other people how to MC as well. All right. So Eric and Amanda are now at this stage where they are coming back to events just so they can teach new junior MCs so that they can grow into a better MC, which I think is very admirable. And my heart goes out to these two people. And Amanda is my girlfriend, by the way, and Eric is a very close friend of mine. So leaders create leaders. Anytime you think somebody is lower than you, always remember that it's now your time to give back because of the people who have built you up to who you are today. Right? Okay? So just to recap, when you think at the just to recap, plus when you think you're at the top, always remember you have more to learn. Equals. When you think you're equal with somebody, always remember to bring each other up. Challenge yourself, challenge them so that you two can grow side by side with each other. And last but not least, minus. If you think someone is less than you, this is now your opportunity to help bring them up to their full potential. Right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. do make sure to like, share, subscribe, share this if you find this to be helpful. It will really support the channel and it will also support this little experiment of mine as well. Okay, so thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.